And good morning, everyone. We're in that long, dark tea time of the live stream where I just kind of sit here and talk a little bit, and we let all the notifications go out, and I leave this graphic up. If you're watching this on a replay, just go ahead and scroll past this graphic that you're seeing now. I just do this to let folks get the notification that we're going live. It only lasts about a minute long, sometimes less. Then I'll go ahead and hit the little button and say, hey, y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everything's going your way. Wanted to give a special shout out and say a special hello to somebody who I think may be joining us. I'm not really sure. Steve Late over in the UK had some major surgery, and he made it through the surgery all right. He sent me an email earlier this morning. Wanted to say pulling for you, praying for you, and hope you're doing well, my friend. Do what the doctors and nurses tell you to do, and, we're on your side here. Get well soon, my friend. So, let's go down the list and see who all is joining us this morning. Well, it's afternoon now. I can quit saying morning. We have Ice Cream 62 checking in from Italy. How you doing today? Let's see, Dennis Mills, Jeff in Arizona over there at JMJ Love Dance. Thomas Grimm. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, you like that sign, did you? Steve Nealon over at Harneal Media, who sponsors Mark Lindsay CNC.com. Doing an excellent job at it, I might add. Kurt Briegel from sunny, cold northern Wisconsin. Yeah, the weather's starting to turn here too. Lewis Denton there from North Carolina. Jeff Rozak in Edgewater, Florida. Ray Jones in Dickinson, Texas. Ayal Peleg, how are you doing today? Wow, checking in from Israel. Kevin Ells down in South Africa. Still freaks me out that people from all over the world are tuning into this guy. Let's see. David Gilbert in Massachusetts. Dave Pingle, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. David Blackburn, temporarily from the Outer Bank in North Carolina. How temporary? Oh, well, never mind. It's not important. Let's see. Bill Stauffer, Galena, Ohio. And I'll get to your question in just a minute, Lewis. Francisco Paz in Rio de Janeiro. Richard Canton, Dave Kraus. Let's see. E-Cabinets, Tips and Tricks in North Carolina. Michael Johnston in Scotland. Richard Poulin in St. George, Quebec. Did I do that okay? Let's see. Gary Hammett, Sargon Tavor. Sargon, thank you very much. And you know what I mean. Thank you very, very much. That was way above and beyond. I really do appreciate that. Dave Matthews, just in time. Yes, sir. Mike Rickard, Ben Scheuer. I hope I got that right. Jack Painter, John Howard, Martinsville, Indiana. Mr. Bob Lee, my electrical guru, the one who's guiding me through the installation of all this stuff that I don't understand. So, Richard Weiss in Eastern North Carolina, Leroy CNC Woodworks, Mike Smith in Soggy Bottom, Florida. RB Woodwork from up I-5. Must be up close. Well, let's see. I think you told me one time where you're at, and I don't remember, and I don't want to get it wrong. So, what can you say? Let's see, Jim Hester, Eunice Kimmy. Okay, I don't I don't understand that name. Billy Carr, also from Scotland, and okay, well, 1 week vacation with family, no chips. Well, can't have everything. Where would you put it all? Of course, that's kind of a dumb joke because if you didn't have a place to put it, you wouldn't have everything. So, okay, let's see. And Ilyas Karimi, I hope that's correct, from Morocco. Wow. Wow. That just still blows me away. And Mr. Mark Toomey from Central Illinois. Welcome aboard, folks. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I really do appreciate it. We did have one question up here at the top. Lewis Denton wanted to know, if you buy V-Carve, can you upgrade to V-Carve Pro or Aspire? Do you have to buy the better product at full retail? No, you do not. And that is one of the great things about the Vectric software is they understand that money just doesn't fall out of the sky. And if you buy V-Carve desktop, for example, and then later upgrade to V-Carve Pro, you pay only the difference in price. You get credited for what you've already spent. You don't lose that. You don't pay full retail. So, and that's with everything. You can jump up to V-Carve Pro and then save up later on, make that move and jump up to Aspire, which is what I did. I used V-Carve Pro for 5 years and then jumped up to Aspire and just never looked back. So, it's a little help anyway. I know it's still a lot of money, but it kind of eases the pain. So, okay, this morning's video was kind of a long lecture, and I apologize for that. The way I was taught to do this is you repeat everything 3 times. So, and you find a different way to say it each time, because what I may get and understand, what clicks in my brain, may not be what clicks in somebody else's brain. But I know I kept going over the same points over and over again and describing what all was needed, the dimensions needed to fit a clock to a project. And I know I went over and over again, get that movement in your hand before you start doing any carving, because I've been burned on that before. In the video, I used an illustration with some measurements already on it, and I just use that for demonstration purposes. But I've been burned on that before, because the illustration can tell you that it's 0.67 inches thick, and you get it and it's 0.72. That's happened to me before, and it's going to happen again. So I don't make any of those final determinations until I get the ding dong thing in my hand. So, and there are a lot of things to consider when you're designing a movement like that. And believe me, there are many, many, many sources for clock movements. Clock Kit was probably the first website I ever found that was dedicated to this type of a thing. In fact, I found them back when they were still cataloged before internet. And I mean, they have movements anywhere from $3 and $4 all the way up to big Swiss handmade wind up movements that are, $2,000 to $3,000 and everything in between. So, I mean, you can just go crazy on clock movements alone. I had this wild vision many years back. I wanted to build a grandfather clock. The problem I have is I just have absolutely no place to put it. I'd love to build a grandfather clock, but without some place to put it, it would be a wasted effort. And I just don't want to do everything and then try to find somewhere to somebody to sell it to or give it away to or what have you. So I just never did it. And, never say never. It may happen one day, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So the project itself in the video was pretty straightforward. If anybody has any questions about that, I'll certainly get into it. But it was basically things that I have demonstrated before: V-Carve, importing a DXF, V-Carve toolpaths, pocketing toolpaths, and just a straight outline, profile cutout, that is, around the DXF file. So, it's funny. I've been working on those state shapes of the state outlines for several months, and I didn't think I would use them as often as it turns out I do use them. So, because it is the case, when folks see you make something, they automatically come up with, well, can you do that with the state of California? Yes, I can do that with the state of California. How about Ohio? Well, I'll have to find and make the DXF file. So finally, I just went ahead and made all 50. Said to heck with it. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions here. Thomas Grimm, I like the welcome wagon for Californian sign. Well, that was kind of closed circuit for a couple of friends of mine who just simply can't resist. They moved from California up to Oregon, but they can't stop saying, well, in California we used to, and I keep telling them, I don't much care how you used to do it in California. If it was so great, why did you leave? This ain't California. Stop trying to make it California. Knock it off. So that was for them. Let's see. Do we have any questions here? Let's see. David Pingle, would you consider doing an episode on layering? In what regard? If you mean using layers within the design process, I've done a couple of videos on layer. But if you mean like layered projects where you're stacking physical pieces of wood to make a piece, I do have a couple of projects in mind, and I don't know when I'm going to get to them, but I have a couple of projects in mind that I want to do. I'm just researching the right materials, because a lot of these, it depends on how many layers you create. Like, I helped a friend design a piece that was 7 layers, and stack it all together, that'd be 3 inches thick, and we didn't want that, So I'm still researching the right materials to use with the CNC. So, if you use the thinner materials, would be better used with a laser. But I'm still working on a few things. I got to get a couple built before I'm ready to do a video on it. But I don't know which you mean. If you mean using layers in the design process, I've done a couple of videos on that already. If you mean using layers for like building up a project, that is in the works. Let's see here. Richard Canton says, please explain alignment holes. When you flip the project, the holes change position side to side. Yes. Let me bring up Aspire here, because I knew this question was going to come up, and I'll do a screen share here and make absolutely certain that I'm sharing. I am. Okay. Now, I'm looking at the top of the project. And these dowel holes will be cut in the top of the material here. Now, remember, when I get out on the CNC and I do this, when I go to flip this over, I'm going to be flipping this side for side. I'm going to be flipping it over this direction. So This dowel up here in this corner is now going to be flipped over into this corner. So this dowel hole needs to be drilled into the spoil board here. And conversely, flip it back, this dowel down here is now going to be down here. And I do that on purpose because this way it's Murphy proof. There is only one way this piece can get mounted on the table. If I made my dowels perfectly symmetrical, 1 inch down and 1 inch in, I could get it upside down. But by making them asymmetrical, this corner here will only made up with this dowel up here in this corner on the spoil board, and this dowel hole here will only made up with this dowel in the spoil board down here. So I know a lot of people think that it's just not going to work, that they're going to be off, but as I demonstrated and I'll put a link to it in the description below, I did a video when I carved those tea lids for my wife's tea collection. Let's see. Just wrote a note to myself. I'll put a link in the description box to that video as soon as we are finished here. I demonstrated that. I showed that this being the bottom, because I've got the orange border, I'm drilling a dowel hole here in the spoil board and a dowel hole here in the spoil board. Because again, when I flip it over, that's how it's going to mount face down. So I hope that answers that question. Let me get back over here and get back to you to where I can see what you're saying. And have I got it? There it is. There you are. Okay. Let's see. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Bill Stauffer says he just ordered the state files. Will that be a download? Yes, that is a digital download. If you look at your receipt, there should be a download link on the receipt, and an email will be sent to the email address you provided with a download link there as well. Check your spam folder. It may go to your spam folder. But yes, that's a digital download. If you have any problems at all, send me a message through the Contact Us page, and I'll track it down and figure out what's going on, okay? But yes, that's a digital download. So, okay, let's see. RB Woodwork says, I've been watching your videos for some time now and see you zooming in and out and moving back and forth across the project with no effort. Are those keystrokes, mouse movements, or both? Those are mouse movements. I have just a standard 2-button mouse with the scroll wheel, and zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. And when I get over, let me bring Aspire back up here in the 3D view, and I will screen share again, make sure I'm screen sharing. When I'm over here in the 3D view, I'm pushing the scroll wheel forward and zooming back out by pulling it backward. To move this around to pan, I guess you'd say, because when you zoom in, it zooms in on the center. I will put my cursor just anywhere on the surface and press down on the scroll wheel. That's also a button a lot of people don't know they have. And then drag the part sideways. And then drag it back over to the left. So I'm pushing and holding on the scroll wheel when I do that. And here while I just scroll back towards me with the scroll wheel. And here I'm just clicking and dragging to flip it over. So, but yeah, that's the one that a lot of people don't know. They don't know their scroll wheel. If you press down on the scroll wheel, That's also a button. And you can drag your part around so that if I want to zoom in down here, I'll scoot it back up and then zoom in. So it's all done with the mouse. So hope that answered your question there. So let's see. And I thought I had talked about that in a video, but I don't remember. So let's see here. What we got? Bill Stauffer, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, by the way. Say, John McCormick says, so step 1 is to cut the top with the dowel holes. Step 2 is to remove the piece and drill the holes in the spoil board. Step 3 is install the piece with the bottom up on the pins and cut the bottoms. Absolutely. Yes, John. Absolutely. And as I said, I'll put a link to both videos where I made those lids to go on top of mason jars for my wife's tea collection. But it's the second one. It's the second video where I actually went outside and machined the project that I demonstrate. I don't drill straight into my spoil board. I have a scrap piece of plywood I use as a sacrificial spoil board. I screw that down onto the spoil board, the machine table, and then I drill my dowel holes in that piece of plywood. But I mount the project, screw it down, set my X, Y, and Z 0, then the X and Y never change. Never changes. And I go through the entire process right there. Let's see. Kurt Briegel says, so drill the dowel holes into the spoil board using the backside of the material, so to speak. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And as I said, those two videos, and it's kind of a long series because I just designed the whole project from scratch. But towards the end there of the first video, I get into tool pathing and show how I created the tool paths and how I saved the G-code. Then the second video, I go outside, mount the material, and physically cut it. And they turned out perfect. So it seems counterproductive because you drill a hole here on the top, but you drill a hole here on the spoil board. But when you think about it, you flip them over, it makes absolute sense. It's just mirroring it. But the thing is, once you get those dowel holes placed on the front of your design, then you transfer them to the back. You copy them to the back. Don't change the position of any of those dowels or it will be off. So some folks do that first. They put their alignment dowel holes on the design first. Some folks do it last. So if there are any changes, they don't mess up. But, that's just the way it is. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this as soon as we get done here, because I demonstrate the whole thing. And I also did it in the yarn shelf video. I also demonstrated in the yarn shelf video. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Let me do that. I do a lot of double-sided projects. Once I learned how to do it, I just kind of ran with it from there. Okay, I have a subject to bring up here. Okay, just made a note to myself to put a link to the yarn shelf video down there too. Okay, I have... I hope I answered everybody's question. I'm not finished answering questions. If you have more, just let me know. But I do have a subject to bring up, and that is a couple of people have gotten a hold of me asking about getting an error when somebody sends them a file and they try to open it in their copy of V-Carve or Aspire. They get an error. And the error code is, I wrote this down, 12663. I have avoided this topic because I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything now. But the 12663 error code is an error code you get when you try to load a file that was designed in a copy of the software that is not licensed. I'll put it that way. And there is no way you can recover from that error. That means that somebody is using unlicensed software and the file is totally useless to somebody who has licensed software. So I can't fix it. Vectric can't fix it. Nobody can fix it. The file is just worthless to you. Whoever sent you that file, tell them they need to license their software. So, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. But no, I can't fix it and won't attempt. So there's that. Now, so does anybody have any other questions here? eCabinets Tips and Tricks says you should build one and auction it off on your live stream. I think you're talking about the grandfather clock. Yeah, that probably won't happen. I mean, Lord knows I want to make one. I've got this thing for clocks and I don't know where it came from. I just find them fascinating and I love clockwork. In another life, I think I would have changed courses, and instead of spending so much time on woodworking, I think I would have loved to have gotten into machining and watchmaking or clockmaking. And I don't mean the wood case, I mean the movement itself. That just all the gears and the mainspring mechanisms, the whole thing just fascinates me. So I can't do that, but I can appreciate the work that goes into making one. And I always wanted to build a clock that would showcase that clockwork. Now, having said that, I know that there are lots of plans out there for wooden clocks, wooden gear clocks. And I do have a few sets of plans, and there is a plan down the road to build one. I just haven't gotten there. I've got more plans than a tail feather on a turkey farm. I just need to get the time to actually go through and do them. And the problem is that they're a long process. So, but I will get there eventually, you know. So let's see. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, sorry. Ben Scheuer wants to know how far is the fire from you. We were bracketed by two fires, one down south to us that wiped out the about half of the towns of Talent and Phoenix, Oregon. That's about 20 miles to the south. It was moving away from us. It was in no danger of reaching us at all. And we had one to the north of us. It was the closest of the two. The closest to us it got was 7 miles, but again, it was moving away from us. So we were never in any danger. Now, we're not complacent. We know that it can certainly happen. So we have what we call a bug out bag with, clothes and a few other necessities that we keep in a handy place so we can grab and go. We've also got some stuff out in the car and we've got all of our important documents in a fireproof box so that if it ever comes down to where we have to evacuate, we can grab that fireproof box, grab the bug out bag, head out the door, and we're gone. So we don't get complacent. So, excuse me. But no, we were absolutely fine. We were in no danger, but we're not cocky about it. So let's see. Yeah, Javi, Hey, howdy, Javi. I didn't see you sneak in. Let's see. Been there, many plans, no time. I'll send you around to it. No, don't give me around to it. Because the minute I get around to it, I have to get around to it. So, Jim Hester says, had trouble with the concept of the dowel holes until I just tried the holes only on a piece of scrap and followed your instructions. Suddenly it all fell into place. Just try it and it'll help lots. Tell you what you can do. You can do this with just a hand drill. Put a bit into just a piece of scrap wood. And it doesn't matter what it is, a piece of 2x4, whatever. Just drill a hole in the top left corner, then drill a hole in the top right corner. Then mark that with an X. Set it down and take a nail or whatever and punch a hole in the top of, and in that top hole and the bottom hole. Now flip it over. You'll see where the holes go. You know what I mean? You can prove it to yourself. You don't have to machine anything. You don't have to cut anything. It's just anything that's up here on this side is over here on that side. That's all there is to it. So let's see. Gary Hammett says, I saw a mini PC and was thinking it could be good to run my Gatton. What are your thoughts on one? Yeah, I don't know what controller software you're looking at or what you plan on using. That's more of a software question than a hardware question. I don't think that any of the controller software need a huge PC to do it. Mach 3 doesn't need a lot of computer. I don't know about Mach 4. I don't use Mach 4. WinCNC, Linux CNC, UC CNC, any of the Gerbil-based. I don't think they need a lot of computing power to run. The main thing is you're running Mach 3. I would get on Artsoft's website and look at the minimum requirements. But I think you need more computer to run Windows than you do to run Mach 3. It's not real resource intensive. The most important thing about that is to let the computer concentrate on Mach 3 and don't do anything else while it's running. My computer is running Windows XP. That'll show you how much of a computer it needs. It's running Mach 3 perfectly, but that's all it does. It can't go online. I don't play solitaire while it's running. I don't play music on it. I don't watch videos on it. Its whole reason for living is to run Mach 3, and that's all it does. I've shut off, there's no virus software on it. It can't go online. I took all the web browsers out that I could. It doesn't try to go online and update. I shut off automatic updates. I shut off all of the power saving features. No screensavers, no sleep timer, none of that stuff. It's basically now just a dumb terminal that runs Windows XP. But it's the fastest loading computer I own. I push the button, it's ready to go in just a few seconds. I load Mach 3, and it will run continuously. It doesn't go to sleep. The screen doesn't black out. None of that stuff. That's more important than the size of the computer. Having said that, I would say no matter what size computer you get, max out the RAM, because however far ahead you have Mach 3 look forward, however many lines ahead you have it look forward, that's a RAM operation. So it will benefit from having more RAM than you think you'll need. So, but again, if you're going to be running Windows on that computer, go above their minimum requirements, and you should be fine for anything that you want to control your CNC with. So, let's see. Richard Poulin says, I learned the dowel technique from your mason jar video, and since that time I've made many projects and it always comes out perfect. Thank you, Mark. Well, you're very welcome. And that was my third attempt at a double-sided project, and it came out just fine. I'm a firm believer in practicing on scrap. Excuse me, I got my mustache is itching all of a sudden for some reason. I'm a firm believer in using scrap to experiment, and to the point to where I have people bringing me old fence boards now that they know I like scrap wood, and I have no problem carving up a piece of wood that was destined for the landfill to keep it out of the landfill. And if it turns out nice, then that's my prototype. I'll give it to somebody. But it's I practiced it a couple 3 times in scrap, and then I was able to do that on that wood that was irreplaceable, and they came out just beautiful. So, and once you get it down, once you do it once and see it in action, it'll kind of click and you're like, and you'll never forget it, believe me. So let's see. Yes, Francisco, that's it, part 30, and I will link it down in the description below. Let's see, David Pingle, how's the new shop coming? I am almost at work stoppage on the pad. I've got to go get, I had to wait for payday. I have to go get the plate compactor, and I'll be posting another video. That might be next week's video. It might be the week after. But I'm almost at work stoppage for various reasons that I'll get into in the next video. So, let's see. Percy Kuka says, good evening. Restarting a carving job after a power failure. Does it make sense to use the start MDI Z0 setting to avoid a minor step from the restart position? I've never had to do that. You can try it. You can give it a shot, but I've never had to do that. I do reset Z0. You have to reset X, Y, and Z0. But I've never had to go into MDI and do it that way. So let's see. Okay, it appears that got everybody caught up. If there's any more confusion on the dowel hole thing, I could try another demonstration video, but I think if you watch the T-lids and the yarn shelf, between the two where I demonstrate designing it, then taking it outside and actually cutting it on the CNC, I think that pretty much explains everything. You know, I show mounting my auxiliary spoil board and drilling the holes in that, and when to set my XYZ 0, and I went through several tool changes on both sides of both projects. The T-lids incorporated, let's see, a 3D model, V-carving, profiles, and pockets. And then the yarn shelf was just pockets, V-carving, and profile cutout. So I didn't do any 3D carving on the yarn shelf. But okay, well, if there are no more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up so I can get outside and get some other work done. I gotta drain a swimming pool, then pressure wash it and let it dry so I can put it away. I am not looking forward to draining the swimming pool. That's kind of like acknowledging that summer is over and autumn is coming. And oh boy. Let's see. I got 2 more questions here real fast, and these will be my last one. Percy Kuka says, is it common that most STL files don't carve perfectly on a spire? No, that's not common. And perfect is an abstract, but I don't know what you mean. If you'll contact me through the Contact Us page on my website, marklindsaycnc.com, maybe we can talk talk further about it. If you're having trouble, it might be the resolution. It might be the modeling resolution. It may be a bad STL file. So, but no, it's not common. Let's see. Lewis Denton wants to know, do you change speeds and feeds on the fly while the project is machining? I use a router on my CNC. I don't have a spindle. It's not controlled by software. So I have to physically adjust the RPMs. I can't do that while it's in the middle of a cut, but I can adjust the feed rate. And I do adjust the feed rate on the fly. That's how I set my feeds and speeds. I start conservative and then I'll speed it up as it's cutting, and I see how the bit is doing with that particular piece of material. I do plan on doing a video on it. I just haven't gotten there yet. But okay, let's see. Okay, Sargon. Thank you very much. You know how to get a hold of me. Ilyas Karimi, what makes the CNC machine lose steps? There are a bunch of different reasons. I will give you one tip right now. Always check the mechanical first. If you haven't changed a setting in the software settings don't change themselves. Always check the mechanical first. Belts, couplers, make sure they're tight. Don't just look at them. I'll post a link to my troubleshooting video for using slippage marks. That should help you. Don't just look at it. Tighten it physically. Other than that, that's about it. And yes, Woodnack 1, Cigar Box Guitar. I will talk to you all next week. Y'all have a good one. Thank you very much for spending part of your Sunday with me. If you have any further questions, either leave them in the comments of this video or go to my website, marklindsaycnc.com, and hit me through the Contact Us page there. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Okay, I see every message that comes through, and I will eventually get caught up enough to where I've answered everybody. Hopefully I have, but I think there's a few more I need to answer. Take care, y'all. Have a good night or good day. Now go do something cool. Bye-bye.